Good afternoon, and welcome to the Wednesday afternoon conference call with Trusts Unlimited. This is Jim George speaking. I'm the non-attorney spokesman and facilitator for Trusts Unlimited, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this call, especially those of you that will be listening to the replay over the next 24 to 48 hours, and those that are listening in for the first time, although we're at the 11th hour at this point, so I'm sorry we didn't get together long before this. Today does represent the last call for calendar year 2021, and it also is the last call for myself. I've been with you for a decade now. While it's been frustrating that things continue to be postponed in Iraq, I have enjoyed the opportunity to share this information with you and gotten to know a lot of you. The plan for today was to have a full-blown call. That's not going to happen for the very simple reason that we have been absolutely inundated with new trust applications, and many of our existing clients want to make last-minute changes to their trusts. With regard to those issues first, our existing clients that wish to make changes to their trusts, I would not suggest you do so at this time unless it's absolutely necessary. But if you do wish to proceed, please make sure to keep your original executed copy of the trust until you get the new amended version, which may require a few pages being executed or may require executing an entire trust. So please hang on to that. For those of you that have submitted applications, many of you have asked what's going to happen if you do not get your trust in force prior to the revaluation. Well, you're going to want to set up a trust after you've acquired this wealth, whether you have currencies or not. But our trust was established for denarians, and for that reason, you want to get your trust in place prior to the revaluation if possible. However, anyone that applies for and pays for a trust and does not receive that trust package, not before the reinstitution in country, but before the revaluation, the cost of that trust will be refunded to them. Not because the trust is not valuable and necessary, but because you applied in order to get it done on a pre-RV basis. And even though it's no one's fault that didn't happen, we will refund the entire payment for the trust. So that's the best we can do to work with you. Now, I do want to get into some information today because I think some important things have been going on, and there's a couple of things I want to alert you to. First, by way of disclaimer, Trusts Unlimited is not the purveyor of the dinar and these other currencies. We're not advocating either the sale or purchase of these currencies, but as rather substantial currency holders ourselves, we're sharing with you the information that we think is relevant. The most relevant piece of information, of course, is a potential window for the reinstitution and revaluation of the dinar. And at this time, January of 2022 looks really strong. Now, we have been of the opinion in the past that we were close, and in some sense we were. But as I review everything with you today, we have never been in the place we are now. The things that needed to get done that we believed in the past would get done for a number of reasons never happened. But the things that needed to be done as a prerequisite to the revaluation are now done. Everything literally is done. So the stars are aligning for January. I know that many of the officials in Iraq simply cannot get out of their own way, and that's one of the frustrations that we've had over the last decade. But they're just running out of things to trip over. So I'm going to discuss with you why I think we're looking really strong for January. Actually, before I get into that, I want to mention one other thing. I hear a lot of people hoping and praying that the reinstitution and revaluation happens this week. And just to be frank about it, every time someone says that, I want to slap them. It makes absolutely no sense from an investment, from an exchange, and from a tax standpoint to have a revaluation late in a quarter, particularly the last week of a quarter, and particularly the last quarter of the year. I mean, what are these people smoking? Don't they understand what the tax implications are? Yes, I know there are some people out there that say this is not a taxable event, and unfortunately, most of those people will be sued and probably be facing criminal charges for tax fraud. The idea that you would tell 50,000 people there's no tax due when the IRS code is perfectly clear on what the tax implications are. I'm going to divert into that and explain why this is a taxable event. The argument that's made that it's a non-taxable event is because there is a distinction made between a consumptive exchange and an investment exchange. That's why if you look to the code, 988E2, it says that if the gain from the exchange exceeds $200, you must pay the tax. The way the code used to work, particularly before the creation of the EU, where each country had its own currency, people would travel to Europe and they'd go from country to country, so they would exchange their pound for their lira or some other currency. And so as long as the exchange involved little or no difference in terms of the purchasing power, it was a non-taxable event. That's different from an individual that is investing in currencies for profit. That's a speculative exchange. The purchase of the dinar was not a consumptive purchase. It was a speculative purchase. You purchased it in order to make a profit. And according to the code, if the profit that you would otherwise receive from the exchange exceeds $200, you must pay the tax. So why would we want a taxable event to occur 1 or 2 days before the end of the year, meaning the taxes, quarterly taxes, would be due on January 15th? Makes no sense, particularly since those of you that have a trust pursuant to Section 643B of the code will enjoy tax deferral. Now, the fact that the code says that from our perspective is not enough. We want the IRS to confirm that in writing for us, for our clients. But the IRS and the Treasury Department declined to respond, quote unquote, until the event. So for us, the event has got to be the reinstitution, which is what we want to see after the new year. Now, there's another issue that could straddle this. Suppose, hypothetically, we were to have a reinstitution today or tomorrow, but the revaluation does not occur until January. Well, the reinstitution in country, and let's just say it bumps it up to $1, that's still a substantial gain for us. So is the reinstitution itself a taxable event? In our opinion, the answer is no. Why? Because the reinstitution of the dinar means it's a functional currency in country. It's not a functional currency globally. So our argument to the IRS would be that there is no taxable event, whether you're in a trust or not, until the revaluation. But we don't want to have to make that argument. At this point, we simply want to wait for the new year. Now, why do I say January is looking strong? Because, as I said before, everything is aligning in Iraq from every perspective, politically, economically, right down the line. For example, the Supreme Court has ruled and certified that the October elections were legitimate and the winners are the winners. The Sadr's coalition won in the parliament, and they've made it pretty clear that they intend to reinstall Kazemi. And then there we have what's going on with the CBI with regard to the currency reforms. And they all point to the imminent reinstitution of the dinar in country and the revaluation in the very near future as well. Now, pursuant to the UN Compensation Committee and the UN Secretary Council, Iraq has now fully paid the compensation and reparations to Kuwait. This was the only outstanding requirement for Iraq to be taken out of Chapter 7, and that's the only outstanding impediment to the currency going globally. The CBI is also accepting central bank branches to be established in Iraq from other countries. They are also establishing central bank branches in a number of countries. One of the important countries is Britain. Britain is establishing banks in Iraq, and Iraq is establishing banks in Britain. And Britain has been a leader in global banking for 500 years. So that's an important alliance there. The CBI is also currently conducting audits and budget reconciliations going all the way back to 2003. What happened in 2003? The creation of the provisional 3-0 currency to deal with inflation. So they're going all the way back to the beginning and resolving all of that. Lastly, the CBI has announced that their local banks are closed through 2022 for the rest of this week. They're up to something. Why would you close the banks unless there's going to be a major transition taking place? Now, none of the CBI operations I've just outlined make any sense whatsoever without an international currency. There's absolutely no reason to establish any of these agreements to set up banks in other countries, to do a complete audit going back, 18 years, and then closing the banks for the balance of this year. So once again, it all points, as far as I'm concerned, to January being very, very strong. Now, as I said before, we've all been dealing with Iraq. There are still a dwindling number of people that, for whatever reason, personal and or political, do not want to see this happen. However, we do know that they could pass a budget using the current exchange rate. We do know that they could pass that budget and simply not make any expenditures until they change the exchange rate. Or they could do the dumbest thing, which is to pass the budget with the current exchange rate, make some expenditures, and then have to go to a very excruciating rewrite in order to adjust the currency. And that could happen as well. But that's so much unnecessary work. To me, once again, it doesn't make sense, based on what they've done, to do anything other than to pass a budget with the new exchange rate. Now, what's the rate going to be? In my opinion, the reinstituted rate has to be at the dollar at a slight premium at the very least. And if that happens, it'll quickly rise to at least the 322 that it was when it was taken into a program rate back in 2003. Some people say it's going to be closer to $5. That's, in my opinion, where we're going to go. It's possible that they could just reinstitute at that higher number, but it's more likely, and no one knows for sure, it's more likely they'll come out in an initial float and then quickly rise, similar to what happens frequently with IPOs. But you also remember with IPOs, velocity creates an inflated value and then it drops back down. That's what happened with the Kuwaiti dinar. It reinstituted at somewhere about $3.46, I believe, if I remember correctly. It went up over $7, and of course people were buying it at $4, $5, $6, and $7. 2-3 weeks later, it was back down to $3.22. So, you don't want to play games. You want to go to the bank. You want to get the best possible exchange rate that you can. We want to make sure we take advantage of whatever tax deferral we as trust holders have. We want to pay whatever taxes would be due, and we want to invest wisely. The basic rule is the more money you have, the less risk you need to take. So this is where we are right now. As I said, this is the last call for this year. Even if there's a reinstitution calendar year 2022, I don't see how it could reval globally. But for the reasons I've stated, I don't want to see either of those things happen. Any time in January would be golden. The people I'm talking to think in the first half of January they're going to see the passage of the budget, and people on the Finance Committee have stated publicly that the passage of the budget and the exchange rate should go hand in hand. Now, there are others that are saying otherwise, but again, that makes no sense given what they're doing. Why even make all of the payments and enter into all the agreements that they're entering into, not only with international banking, but all of the people they've contracted to rebuild their infrastructure, their electrical grid, their road system, and all of that. Makes no sense if they don't have an international currency. So this is all looking really good, and we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. So long as we don't reval this calendar year, then we're going to have a glide path to getting all of this done. We'll go to the bank, we'll do our exchange, we'll get the IRS to confirm what the tax status is. We'll be able to hold the currency for as long as we need to if it comes out of the low float. And all of that would not be possible with the revaluation in calendar year 2021. So we're in a very, very good place. All we can do at this point is wait. If you've got your trust, if you've executed the documents, there's simply nothing else to do other than to pay close attention. Those of you that are our clients, when you received your trust package, you received a document called the Exchange Protocol. If you have a trust, I strongly suggest you review that document, or you can contact us if you want it. As a matter of fact, what we'll probably do is put that document into an email. So there's a couple of documents we're going to put into emails, and so I'm going to call the attorneys after this call and let them know that we probably need to go ahead and get that stuff out, if not this week, early next week, so that everyone's prepared with the information that they need. For those of you calling in for the first time, I would strongly suggest you go to our call of December 1st of this year. It has an overview of our entire program, both pre- and post-RV. There's also a nice Q&A in there as well. And if you want to listen to the replay, I'm not even going to bother to give you the YouTube stuff. You can go to YouTube and look us up, but YouTube is playing games for reasons we've discussed on this call numerous times. So if you want to listen to our replay, you go to our website, which is trusts with an S, unlimitedllc.com. You will then click the box Learn More. Then you will have a series of options. One is conference calls. Click conference calls, and then you can listen to whatever date or dates you want to listen to. Our email address is trusts with an S, unlimitedllc@gmail.com, and our phone service is 307-274-4122. We're working as quickly as we can to assist our clients that want to make some changes to their trusts, and those that have applied for new trusts, we're moving as quickly as we can, but we've been hit with a glut here, and we're just going to do the best we can. And this is another reason why I'd like to see the reinstitution and revaluation postponed for a couple of weeks so that we can make sure everyone gets their trust, gets their documents executed, reviews our exchange protocol document, and they're ready to go. Our next call, of course, is next Wednesday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thank all of you for listening over the years, especially this last year. We at Trust Unlimited want to wish you all a very Happy New Year, and let's hope it's a prosperous one for all of us, that we're all in and out of the banks in January, and we can spend our time deciding how we want to take care of this wealth for ourselves, for our children, our grandchildren, and many philanthropic organizations we can assist. So Happy New Year, and look forward to speaking to you all next Wednesday. Bye-bye, everyone.